Okay, man, I'm 4 minutes into your video and I got to go do something else, so I'm going to watch the rest of it later. But um, cause and effect is in play. It's just not efficient cause and effect. You never listen to Matt when he points this out to you. Cause and effect is in play. It's quantum mechanical cause and effect. And no, there's not a ton of evidence of things being determinate. No, there's tons of evidence of things being probabilistic. See, from quantum mechanics, what you think of as determinism emerges through the fact that while every event is discrete, includes spontaneity, relies on probability, overall, the probabilistic pattern comes out. Okay? So, you know, if you have your gun shooting a barn and it has this much accuracy, and you shoot your first bullet right at the center, it's on a mount, it's aimed the same place, it's going to hit there. Then the next time there. Then the next time there. If you shoot thousands of bullets and that's really your accuracy, it's going to cut a hole that big. There'll be a few out there because of our indeterminate nature, but basically it'll fill that and just blow that little hole through the barn. It'll fill that. So see, if you shoot millions of bullets, you get something like determinacy. Your accuracy gets entirely filled in. In the two-slit experiment, you shine the electrons. The final pattern is regular. I could tell you exactly what the final pattern is. If you've seen the pictures, there's the lines, and if you have two, then there's these other pattern of lines. I can tell you exactly where those lines are going to be. And if you do the experiment with photons, then the lines will move, and it'll be based on the wavelength of the light that you're sending through, and I could tell you exactly where those lines are going to be. What I can't tell you is where any single photon will land. But give me millions of photons, and I can find it out. The patterns emerge on the large scale. We're at the large scale. So all of that evidence you're talking about determinacy is just evidence that there's probabilistic patterns and that we can deduce those patterns. And so you see, nothing is lost of cause and effect except for the idea that everything is determinable. It's a power trip. You lose your power trip. The idea that I know so much, and if I knew a little more, then I'd know even more, and I could know everything. No, that goes out the window. That fantasy, that omnipotent potential of that maybe you could be a god if only given enough. Give it up. But the ability to know things isn't given up. The ability to see patterns is not given up. From the quantum randomness, patterns emerge. Because, as you point, it's not just randomness anything, it's randomness within a pattern. An electron, you don't know where the electron is, but you know it's within its wave packet. You know it's somewhere in a little interval. You just can't say within a point. You can say within an interval. Is that so weird that you can say things about intervals but not points? Points don't exist, intervals do? I'm sorry, but that's how reality looks now. You don't get to think, well, in principle, I could know everything. Sorry, in principle, you could not know everything, but you could still know some things. And you could call those some things determinable. I can determine what an interference pattern looks like. It's just that it's not classically determinable, because classical determinism involves being able to actually concretely determine each and every event. And I can't do that because the interference pattern that I will see will still be made up of millions of individual specks from each photon or electron or whatever I sent through the apparatus. And if I do the experiment on Tuesday, the million dots, when I look at the million dots, I'll see a pattern. When I do it on Wednesday, I'll look at the million dots and I'll see the same pattern. But if I look at the location of each and every dot, they won't be the same. Like a fingerprint. I see a pattern on my fingers and other people's fingers. And I recognize a fingerprint when I see it. But every fingerprint is different. Isn't that amazing how we could have things be unique and still obey a pattern? How about you get high on that, figuring out why that's true, instead of trying to live in the century before last.